What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to your home for all things combat sports.
Yo.
So, Nick, it seems like the UFC is quickly moving on with the next championship fight at 185. Dricus Du Plessis came out and said, look, what happened in the octagon after my win against Robert Whittaker was inappropriate. I don't really want to be a part of that. And so he has kind of bowed out of contention to fight Izzy, and so insert Sean Strickland into the equation, and it looks like that's going to be the next title fight. Do you think this was a mistake by Dricus?
Well, yeah, unfortunately this was a mistake, and this is the only industry where stuff like that can take place in the workplace and actually be okay, and you can go figure it out later on. Like, if anybody else in any other thing besides the fight industry did that, it would be, all hell would break loose.
Right.
But the fact that these are fighters, they're trying to entertain the people, they're trying to make a big fight. It just seems like Du Plessis needs to know that this was a bit of a show they were putting on. There were cameras on, and right before they, roll the credits and leave the show for the rest of the night, Izzy had to go in there and make some big noise and make some things happen so he could get some interest in his next fight. And I think Du Plessis was the right guy for Izzy to go for next, even if all that post-fight stuff didn't take place. Du Plessis, is fresh blood. He's a new face in there. He's really coming in strong into the UFC. Now, he hasn't been beaten there. He's got a really nice record. Izzy was looking forward to that fight. I know he'll take the Sean Strickland one, and of course the UFC will always just move on with business. If you don't want a title shot, no worries. We'll put in, everybody else on the roster that wants it, even people from different weight classes. So Du Plessis might be the one left without the fight, but I do think that eventually he will get a fight with Izzy.
Yeah, and let's hope so, because Dricus, in all honesty, kind of started the thing with Izzy with being the real African champion and, basically poking fun of the fact that Israel spent most of his life in New Zealand, even though he's from Nigeria, and the whole Chinese thing that they bring into the equation. So I think it's all fair game. Izzy got in there and kind of did his thing as well. And have we seen Izzy smoother on the mic than we did that night? Of course we have. I think there was a little bit of alcohol involved. I think Izzy was a little hyped up, maybe a little bit emotional. Maybe he said some things he shouldn't have said. But the reality of the matter is this is the fight business. And Dana White was asked a lot of questions after the fight about the whole situation. And he said, look, this is the fight business. Adesanya said what Adesanya says. He's one of the staples in the company as far as defending his belt goes. That guy's one of the most active fighters in the industry, and he's a champion, and he's a consummate professional. So if he gets on the mic after a couple of drinks and has a little fun, all fair and good. So I think that Dricus kind of dropped the ball here because all the momentum was going towards that fight coming up in Australia in a couple of months. He had that amazing win against Robert. He didn't take any damage. They cut the promos after the fight. They could have transitioned right into getting ready for a fight camp for UFC 293, and then he pumped the brakes on it, which kind of totally derailed that whole thing, and Sean Strickland came in. Now, I'm not mad at the Sean Strickland fight, and Sean Strickland will absolutely play ball with Izzy. They will get as offensive. He will get as offensive as Izzy wants to get. Right. Believe that. So we'll see what Izzy wants to do after this fight with Sean Strickland, and presumably he'll win. I think he'll be the heavy favorite. So Dricus may have just cost himself another 9 months to a year before he gets a title shot.
Yeah, and anytime you go in there and disrupt the plans that the UFC has, especially for a title fight, they tend to get a little bit frustrated with that, and they will make him fight again, not for a title, not against Izzy, and make him do a bit more heavy lifting at the top of 185 before he gets another, crack at the title. And I believe Izzy will be the champion there for a meaningful period of time. I mean, he's constantly winning at 185. It's very hard for him to be beaten. And I think that if Dricus Du Plessis is able to string together a few more wins, he's going to be forced into fighting Izzy. And time can always heal all wounds. But I think that what Dricus doesn't understand is a lot of people don't really hold on to these, single night moments, these one-off things in the promotion. Like, of course, the thing that Izzy did in the octagon was big. It did catch some headlines after the first week of the fight. But after that, it's all gone, completely forgotten about. And most people won't even remember it took place a month from now. So Dricus needs to understand that news will go away. But if he takes himself out of the limelight, he too will go away with it, and people will just start to forget about him. So while I see his reasoning for doing this, I disagree with it. I think he should just go full into it. I think they both need to understand that they're entertainers. Izzy always knows how to make some things interesting, how to raise some stakes, how to even get under people's skin. Dricus Du Plessis is the #1 contender at 185 now. He needs to know the same.
Agreed.